Hey, it's Jay, and welcome to Chapter 1 of the Star Wars Chronicle. Today we'll be looking at Episode 1, Phantom Menace, as well as a tiny short, Forces of Destiny, Monster Misunderstanding. All of this is available on Disney+, so if you want to be like me and catch up on the Star Wars lore, definitely consider getting Disney+. You will get everything Star Wars. Without further ado, just going to give a brief plot synopsis, give my thoughts on Episode 1, and a little bit of a summary of Monster Misunderstanding, because it's only like a 3-minute short, so there's really nothing much to talk about there. But it does give a little bit of a look of Queen Amidala doing some other stuff. So, without further ado, let's get started. Before I do, I just want to point out that, since I'm still very new to the Star Wars world, there's a lot of names to remember. I'm gonna be glancing at my notes to get the names right. So please do forgive me for that. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the film's going to open up, and the Trade Federation upsets order in the Galactic Republic by blockading Naboo in order to perform a full-fledged attack. The Republic's leader is Supreme Chancellor Finis Valorum, and he dispatches Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi to go and try and negotiate with the Federation Viceroy Newt Gunray. Darth Sidious, a Sith Lord, is the Trade Federation's secret benefactor, and he orders Viceroy to kill the Jedi and begin their invasion using their army of battle droids. So during the battle, the Jedis do escape, and they head to Naboo, but in the midst of that, they do save the life of a Gungan outcast named Jar Jar Binks. I have a lot to say about him at the end of this. And he is now indebted to Qui-Gon for saving his life, and he takes him to the underwater city of Oto Gunga, which is the Gungan's palace, I guess you could say. They try to enlist the help of Boss Nass, the leader of the Gungans, to help in the fight against the Trade Federation, only to receive no help at all. However, instead of allowing Jar Jar to be punished, as Boss Nass calls it, Qui-Gon brings up his life indebtedness. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what, damn it, I'm making it a word. And uses Jar Jar for any underwater exploration. So, as they pass through the Federation blockade, the ship is damaged in heavy crossfire, and they are forced to land, and they land in Tatooine, which is kind of like a desert planet. They need a part to, fix their ship, and the whole gang, now joined by the astromech droid R2-D2 and Padme, who is disguised as a handmaiden to the Queen, visit the settlement of Mos Espa. They need that part, but unfortunately, Republic credits won't work, and they won't. And the junker Watto won't accept them. They're also introduced to a 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker, who is building a protocol droid, C-3PO. Yes, we all know C-3PO. And Qui-Gon knows there's something up with this Anakin kid. He senses a strong, force with Anakin, and he believes that he is the prophesized chosen one that Jedis always talk about. And the chosen one is destined to restore balance within the Force, as it is. So Watto now refusing Republic credits, they need to find some way to get money. And Anakin reveals that he's very skilled at pod racing. And, in order to get Anakin into the race, because Watto won't allow Anakin to use his own, Qui-Gon claims that it's his. But to try and get more out of this deal, he also bets on Anakin's freedom. Because remember, Anakin's a slave. And so if Anakin wins this race, he will then be freed. He tries to also free his mother, but unfortunately, Watto's like, no pod race is worth 2 slaves. None. So Anakin had to settle for just the one. So in a very intense race, Anakin ends up winning and joins our gang to start his Jedi training, but he must leave behind his mother, Shmi. On their way to the ship to, head back, they are attacked by Darth Sidious's apprentice, Darth Maul. And a very quick lightsaber battle, they're able to escape before Darth Maul can do any real damage. And so now Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan escort Padme to Coruscant so she could plead with her people, plead her case, to Valorum, the Galactic Senate. While this is all happening, Qui-Gon brings Anakin before the Jedi Senate and asks them if he may take Anakin up as his apprentice. Unfortunately, the panel declines, stating that since he already has an apprentice in Obi-Wan Kenobi, he cannot have a second. The two notable faces in the Senate are Yoda and Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson. So, while the Senate denies Qui-Gon apprenticeship of Anakin, fearing that he's a little too vulnerable to the dark side, the senator for Naboo, Palpatine, is trying to get Padme to get a vote of no confidence to try and elect a better, a more qualified person to deal with this situation. And while Padme is successful, the corruption in the Senate is too much for her, and she heads back to Naboo. The Senate does order Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to escort her back and try to find out if the return of the Sith is upon them, because it's been believed that the Sith hasn't been around in a millennium. So there's they gotta try to figure that out before things turn bad. So on Naboo, Padme finally reveals herself to be Queen Amidala, and she's not just some handmaiden. And she does this to the Gungans in an effort to try to gain their alliance in this battle. Of course, they agree, and Boss Nass, promotes Jar Jar to a general to lead in the battle. And Padme takes a team to search for Gunray in Theed. So during a battle between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and two droids, Anakin flees and is in a cockpit of a starfighter. But he accidentally triggers the autopilot because Qui-Gon ordered him to stay in the cockpit and to not leave, in fear of him getting hurt in the battle. However, in doing so, with Anakin's enhanced piloting skills, ends up actually destroying the mothership and deactivating the whole droid army. And so that was a big help, even though Anakin didn't even mean to do so. Meanwhile, as Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are heading to join the battle, Darth Maul infiltrates Theed and takes both of them on. However, Darth Maul is a very skilled fighter, ends up mortally wounding Qui-Gon Jinn, which obviously destroys Obi-Wan Kenobi because that's his mentor, and in a swift thinking, is able to, kind of gut Darth Maul in a really, really cool action scene. So Darth Maul, a very big threat, is now kaput in this sense. So Qui-Gon's dying wish is for Obi-Wan to train Anakin. And then Gunray is arrested. It seems as though the battle is won, and Palpatine is elected to Chancellor. Of course, a funeral is held for Qui-Gon Jinn and his efforts in freeing Anakin and everything, and his help in the battle. And Yoda promotes Obi-Wan to a Jedi Knight. And he's not too thrilled about Anakin being his apprentice, but he does agree to let Obi-Wan train Anakin. So the funeral for Qui-Gon is attended by many Jedi as well, and they believe that there's another Sith out there because there's never just one. There's always two. So there's a bunch there. And Padme gives, peace offering to Boss Nass to create peace between the Gungans. And that's basically it. That's The Phantom Menace. So let's recap. Is this as terrible of a film as people pointed out? Because remember, this is a prequel film, and prequel films are always crapped on. No, I really didn't think it was that bad. Is it great? No. Is it horrible? No. I'd say it's just slightly above average. So if this is like the average line, I'd say Phantom Menace is about here. The acting's very solid. I thought that everyone's performance was really, really great. And really lent itself to the emotion and the desperation in some situations, like how desperate they really needed Anakin to win that pod race. The lightsaber duels were really, really awesome. I think that they were choreographed beautifully, especially Darth Maul's, because Darth Maul is such a badass character. I think his fight scenes were choreographed superbly, very, very solid. I'd highly recommend if you don't want to watch the whole movie, I highly recommend at least watching the final battle between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, because it's really a treat. And I do enjoy pod racing. I thought that was a really, really fun scene. It kind of felt like I was on a Disney ride, like a 4D Disney ride, and racing through the canyons and everything like that. I feel like that was probably their intention, but yeah, I didn't really mind pod racing. I'd always seen like pod racing video games, but it was really cool to see like where it originated from. So yeah, and it's really cool that Anakin, who's at such a young age, is able to pilot these things perfectly and end up winning the race. So I really enjoyed pod racing. Yeah, I think it was a great way to introduce us to Anakin, who becomes such a big force within the later movies. And it's cool to see a young Obi-Wan Kenobi, who will be explored more in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show releasing on Disney Plus. And Ewan McGregor's just a great actor, so there's nothing wrong with his performance there. I also like how Padme's queen, and she's only 14, and in a lot of movies, young queens are often, they don't know what they're talking about, they don't know what to do in high-risk situations, high-stress situations. Padme's like, nah, fuck that shit. I know exactly what to do, and I know exactly who to look out for, I know exactly what to look out for. I think that was really, really cool how she's like, she even gets into the action. It's not like, oh, no, we must protect the queen, get her somewhere safe. Nah, she's out there, she's shooting, she's firing. I like that a lot. I thought that was really, really cool character for Padme to be such a young queen and know what she's doing, because it's a refreshing thing to see. All in all, I highly recommend it. If you want to watch these films, this is a great place to start, seeing as this, starts off the whole Darth Vader saga, or the Skywalker saga. I'm going to call it the Darth Vader saga because I like him cool. He's better. I highly recommend checking it out, because it's not too bad. But I did say I was going to talk about this, Jar Jar Binks. Remember, I haven't been a Star Wars fan my whole life, and that's why I wanted to do this, because I want to give it a chance, because everyone talks about how great Star Wars is, and I never gave it a chance. And I had always heard about Jar Jar, and he's such a joke character, and wow, I hate Jar Jar. What were they thinking with that character? What were they thinking? There's nothing redeeming about Jar Jar, in my opinion. I think he's probably one of the most annoying things on planet Earth. His accent's annoying, borderline racist, and he doesn't do anything. The only thing he really does is, jump into the underwater passages, taking him to Theed, and O2 blah blah, whatever it's called. And that's pretty much all he does. In the battle, he's useless. He's just stumbling around the whole time. And that's why he was banned in the first place, because he's clumsy, which that's kind of a stupid reason to be banned. I mean, even Obi-Wan Kenobi's like, you were banned for being clumsy? Like, you were outcasted for that? So I thought that was kind of funny. But other than that, Jar Jar's just fucking annoying. And I'm happy I finally got to experience him to make that opinion, because I never had an opinion on Jar Jar. I was always neutral. I was always a neutral party to Jar Jar, because I've never seen the movie. How can I say I hate or love the character whenever I haven't seen it? But wow, I don't like Jar Jar. And the fact that they gave him a position of power, that's mind-blowing to me. But in general, a fun ride. I didn't hate it. I didn't think that it was, the dreadful prequels. The power of Christ compels you, and they need to be decanonized and all that, like all angry Starboy fan wars are going on about. That was intentional. But my final verdict, a 3 out of 5. Maybe a 3, maybe even a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, you know what? 3.5 out of 5, because I did say it was slightly above average. It's a middle-of-the-road film, but damn it, it's Star Wars. Come on. I don't hold a grudge against this film. It's honestly not horrible. Would I watch it again? Probably not, because, once I get to the main trilogy, I feel like I'll just erase the prequels from my mind. But that's not because they're horrible, it's just because I feel that the original trilogy is probably going to be so much better, given, reviews. And then the sequel trilogy. I have seen all those, and I got a lot to say about that. But before I go, again, I am going to be looking at the shorts of Forces of Destiny, which kind of just give little pieces of, a little bit more lore to the Star Wars canon. This one, not so much, but I guess you can kind of look at it as Queen Amidala just doing stuff on Naboo, because I guess you could say this takes place in between Episode 1 and Episode 2, and basically, she's just trying to solve the mystery of why Sando Aqua Monster is attacking Naboo, and it's because some poachers have captured its child, and that's literally the whole basis of it. But it's cool to see, you know, Padme doing other stuff outside of the main universe, the main, you know, conflict that is in the prequel trilogy. But yeah, I'm not going to give ratings to the Forces of Destiny because they're literally like 3-minute cartoons. There'd be not even, because the credits take up most of it. So it wouldn't be any point in me rating those. But I would still check them out if you want to, you know, get the bang for your buck for the Star Wars lore. But yeah, next time we're going to be looking at Attack of the Clones. And yeah, that's just Attack of the Clones, because then it'll be time to start Clone Wars, which is going to be a big section, a big chunk of chapters in the Star Wars Chronicle. So yeah, I will see you guys next time for Attack of the Clones. Make sure you guys subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when I upload the next chapter in the Star Wars Chronicle. I really apologize about me having to constantly glance down at my phone with my notes, because there's just a lot of names, and I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. And I'm hoping that changes by the end of this, but I apologize in advance. I will probably have to do it a little bit more until I can get familiar with these characters, because there's a lot of names, a lot of wacky names. It's not like a normal name like, you know, Danny. It's like, you know, Qui-Gon Jinn and all these, you know, wacky Star Wars names. So I'll get used to it, but please forgive me for having to constantly glance down at my notes. I'll try to get better at it. Until then, guys, I really hope you're going to enjoy the series. I know I'm having a lot of fun watching all of these. It was really fun writing out the timeline, which is behind me in my notes, in order how you should watch all this stuff. And yes, I will be watching Clone Wars in a set timeline, because, fun fact, you don't actually watch the Clone Wars in season order. It kind of jumbles around a little bit, so yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, like, share with your friends, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. It really helps me out, and I'm happy I'm back. So without further ado, guys, that's a wrap.